Hey, how you doing, everybody? This is Matt from the Matt Night Show, and in today's video, we are talking about Trump's mental decline. Now, I'm gonna start off by saying this. The reason we're talking about this because we get so many comments about this, right? So let's go to the first comment. Anytime we talk about Donald Trump's mental decline or anything that Donald Trump has done wrong, or just certain things that we see, what do people always come back with? Joe Biden. So look at this comment that we got in our comment sections, and this is just one example. We get this all the time. Did you watch how effing Joe Biden can't walk up or downstairs, can't ride a bicycle, can't make complete sentences, was and still is a laughing stock, not just in the United States, but the world? We just responded, sir, he's not the president anymore. Let it go. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a timeline of the Trump that many of these people fell in love with and the Trump that we see today, right? So we're going to go back a few years, right? Even before he was running for president. How did Trump sound? So this is him going off on Rosie O'Donnell on Inside Edition. Let's run the clip.
It's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby.
Yeah, see, he was just going off on her. Remember when he was asked about this during his first run for president and pretty much when he first won in 2016? Remember what he said and his demeanor? Let's run that clip.
What people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
And remember how he used to work those crowds when he used to go after his other Republican candidates who were, running against him in the primaries? Remember when he used to come at Ted Cruz? Remember that? Run the clip.
Lion Ted Cruz came today. He couldn't draw 100 people. 100 people.
Yeah, remember he used to come at Marco Rubio. Remember that? Run that clip too, Josh.
A couple of days ago, CNN came out with the latest poll where we're 49 for Trump. Rubio is 16, but after last night's... Little Marco.
Now, I'm not getting into a debate, at least not in this show, about how rude and cruel he could be, right? And as you see, he's always been rude, always been disrespectful. And if you ask me, I think Trump was actually a little bit more rude and a little bit more dangerous when he was younger. I just think in the first presidency, they kind of did some stuff and put some safeguards around him, right? But what you could see in those videos, he was pretty sharp, even though he was pretty much just going off on people. But he knew how to work the crowd. And that's one thing Trump did. He had the charisma, and he knew how to work the crowd. And I think that is the Trump that a lot of the MAGA, especially the MAGA voters, really fell in love with. But if you watch those videos and you say, oh man, I'm a big Trump fan, you cannot look at what he's doing now and turn a blind eye. So yesterday, he was at the World Economics Forum in Switzerland, and he gave one of the worst speeches I've ever seen. Low energy, just going off on tangents, which he's been doing quite a bit. But it just looked real bad, and we're going to run that clip. So run the first clip, Josh. This is him talking about Europe.
Certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction.
Man, that sounds bad. And then he went in complaining about NATO, right? Let's see what he said about NATO.
With NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. If we gave them the call, gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us.
Look bad. And this is the big one, right? He's been talking all this stuff about Greenland, right? All this big talking. Let's just kind of see just how low energy he is when he finally admits that, hey, I'm not going to use force, and just how bad it sounds. Run the clip.
We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. But the problem...
And there you have it. It's obvious, right? You see those earlier crowds. He says something. The crowd goes crazy. He knew how to work the crowd. Now you go see one of his speeches. People are yawning, falling asleep, you know, and the crowds are just getting smaller and smaller, and he's pretty much boring people to death, right? Still cruel, still coming after all his perceived enemies, but he lost the juice, and I think that has a lot to do with his mental decline. But despite all that, you're still gonna get people coming into the comments, people who just do what? You talk about Trump's mental decline, and what do?
Blame Biden.
Keep blaming Biden. Let them do that, right? But when they do that and they talk about that, just run them clips of Trump saying crazy, crazy stuff and boring people to death. And just say, hey, you know what? I get it. And like we said in the video, let it go, bro. He's not president anymore. Let's talk about the current president and what's going on with his decline. So I hope you liked this video, and make sure you do those 3 important things. And what's that? Make sure you share, like, and most importantly, subscribe. Take care, everybody.